Before smooth jazz had a name, Chuck Mangione, he gave it a face and a sound. And the thing is, you did not have to understand jazz to feel what he was playing. Chuck grew up in Rochester, New York, in a working-class Italian-American home where music poured through the speakers like it was part of the plumbing. His family lived just east of downtown, in a neighborhood where you could walk past a barbershop, a bakery, and a jazz club, all on the same block. His dad, Frank, he was a barber. He adored jazz. Their house became a regular hangout for musicians, including Dizzy Gillespie. So with all that going on around them, Chuck and his brother, pianist Gaspar Gap Mangione, they started playing young. Before long, they were playing local clubs as teenagers, performing under the name the Jazz Brothers. Chuck studied at the Eastman School of Music right in downtown Rochester. It's one of the top conservatories in the entire country. He graduated in 1963 and came back just 5 years later, not just to teach, but to lead. In 1968, he became the first official director of Eastman's Jazz Ensemble. That was a big deal. Back then, jazz was not taken seriously by most academic circles. But Chuck, he helped change that. He took a student-run group and turned it into something respected. One of the students that he mentored, Jeff Tyzik, went on to lead the Rochester Philharmonic. But Chuck's story, it did not stay in the classroom. He spent the 1960s playing with some of the biggest names in jazz. Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Those guys, they were a proving ground for future legends. Horace Silver, Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard. Chuck was in that mix. He also worked with Maynard Ferguson and Woody Herman, two names that meant you were playing with power and precision on big stages. But somewhere in there, Chuck made a choice that set him apart. He switched from trumpet to flugelhorn. A lot of folks don't know the difference. You see, a trumpet grabs your attention. The flugelhorn, it draws you in. It's rounder, softer, like the tone of someone telling a story instead of shouting over a crowd. Chuck said that it reminded him of singing. It gave him space to breathe between notes, and you could hear that in the music. In 1977, he released an instrumental track called Feels So Good. No vocals, just that horn. Laid back, confident, floating over a rhythm section like a breeze off the lake in July. It hit number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, something you almost never see with instrumental jazz. The album, it went double platinum, and that song followed him everywhere. Radio, concerts, elevators, and eventually animation. But there was so much more to Chuck than just one track. That same year, he won a Grammy for Bella Via. It was a piece named after his mother, Nancy Bellavia Mangione. She wasn't just loved, she was respected. The kind of woman who ran the home with focus, patience, and pride. Chuck put her spirit into that music. You can hear it. And the industry did too. In 1979, he scored The Children of Sanchez, based on a book about poverty in Mexico. The title track is almost 15 minutes long, layered, emotional, cinematic. It proved that he could tell full, complex stories without ever saying a word. And then came the Olympics. At the 1980 Winter Games in Lake Placid, New York, Chuck stood on a snowy stage in front of tens of thousands of people and millions more watching around the world on the TV. He played a brand new piece, Give It All You Got, which had just been named the official theme of the games. It was upbeat, full of motion, full of hope. He didn't audition for that spot. ABC Sports president Roone Arledge came to him. They'd already used Chase the Clouds Away at the 1976 Montreal games, and they wanted more of that same emotional lift. Well, Chuck delivered. His music gave those games a sound that people still remember decades later. But when the applause faded, he did not chase the spotlight. He went home. Chuck kept living in Rochester, New York. He kept teaching. He kept showing up at community concerts and high school festivals. If you were a young kid in that town with a horn or a question, odds are Chuck Mangione gave you the time. Maybe even gave you one of his own horns. And then there was King of the Hill, the animated sitcom on Fox. It followed a propane salesman in a fictional Texas suburb. Laid-back humor, no laugh track. And for some reason, Chuck Mangione became a recurring character. He voiced himself, flugelhorn in hand. He was the Megalomart's corporate mascot, and every time he played, even if it was supposed to be something different, it turned into feel so good. It was absurd, and Chuck absolutely leaned into it. He once said it was the best kind of exposure. A generation of kids who did not know jazz, they still learned his name and his sound. He stepped back from touring by 2010, and by 2015, he officially retired from the road. But retirement, it did not mean that he disappeared. He kept working at Eastman. He kept mentoring. He hosted children's concerts. His Cat in the Hat matinees, local favorite. Everyone in Rochester knew about him. And in 2009, he donated his hat, music, and memorabilia to the Smithsonian. Into his 80s, you could still find him in the crowd at student shows, nodding along, giving feedback, and encouraging the next one up. Chuck Mangione left us. He passed away July 22nd, 2025, at the age of 84. He left us while he was at home, at peace, surrounded by the legacy that he built, not just in recordings or awards, in people. He didn't just play music. He left something behind that people could feel without words. These are Interesting Things with JC.